Welcome, everyone. Today's topic is 2022 latest real estate trends, anticipate and seize opportunities. So we're going to be talking about what's happening currently in real estate today, what's about to happen, and how you can seize new opportunities that are just about to come around the corner. Not only that, but I'm going to give you an inside look at some of the upcoming neighborhoods, okay, that are just booming, and they could be behind your neighborhood. So I'm super excited to present this data to you so that you have a step ahead of your competition. Okay, so let's dive into it. So we're going to go over the monthly Chicago home sales. Okay, now I want you to understand this about this graph. So as you can see at the bottom, it goes on a yearly basis. So the red dot is the January mark, okay, for home sales. So as you can see, let's look at the last dot for January 22nd, 2022 versus January 2021. So as you can see, the trend for home sales is on the uprise, okay? And then the green line in the middle of the blue lines is just the average. But what you need to pay attention is the red dotted lines, okay? This is how the sales are behaving in the last few years. So as you can see, I'm gonna take you back few years ago. So we're gonna be look at the sales back in 2009 when the boom occurred, right? They were really low, right? Because there was a lot of inventory. But now that we have a shortage of inventory, as you can see, everything has been on the rise. So home sales continue to be on the rise. And the reason number one is because of primarily two things: the shortage of inventory and interest rates being so low. Okay, so you get a greater, bigger pool of buyers. So that makes it a seller's market. Okay, and that continues to be on the rise. Property prices continue to appreciate. So they went up from last year about 7.8%. So that's a huge increase from 2021 to 2022. So a year from this month, we've seen an increase of about 8% in sales. Okay. Now, let's look at the Chicago condo versus single family home contract activity. Okay, so in here, you will also see that there's a slightly decrease in properties that are getting on the contract, okay, from 2021, so November 2021, and we have data backing up till, let's say, November 20. So we've seen a decrease in properties that are actually getting on the contract. And the reason why is because many of these properties are being purchased cash. So we're not even seeing many of the inventory that is coming up. And again, this is all driven by the shortage of inventory, that great deals don't even make it to the MLS. So that's what's driving this statistic. Okay, so again, properties that are getting on the contract, activity-wise, that is happening on the contract has decreased slightly from a year ago. Now, Chicago pending home sales. Okay, this is piggybacking to the previous slide. So we see a slight decrease in pending homes for sale. So what does it mean to have a pending home for sale? So what it means is that a property is for sale in the market, and then all of a sudden it gets a contract. So somebody makes an offer and the property's on the contract, contingent or pending. So it's all the same thing. On the contract, it's pending or contingent. Okay, so again, so the number of pending, contingent, or contract properties has decreased. And why? Because we have less properties to buy out there. That's what this is telling us. This is reinforcing the fact that the inventory supply continues to decrease. Okay, that's what it means. It doesn't mean that people are not ready to buy or they're not getting properties on the contract. No, they're doing that, but there's not enough inventory out there. That is why this graph shows that there are a lot less pending or properties on the contract from a year ago. Okay, so this is sort of like the opposite of the inventory supply. So you have inventory supply being low, not too many properties being on the contract. So therefore, this is also directly correlated to the inventory supply. So low inventory supply, obviously, pending home for sales are low. And then here, let's talk about months of housing supply, okay? What it means is that right now, based on this graph, so if we go all the way to the right, we see October 2021, and then we can go back a year to October or December 2020. So we've seen a steady decrease in months of housing supply. So I want to make a parenthesis and explain to you what months of housing supply is, because this is one of the most important metric that you have to know, that you have to understand. So I'm going to spend a little bit more time on this. So months of housing supply, what it means is how long, how many months would it take for all the inventory available to run out. So let's assume that you have 100 properties for sale in Naperville, okay? And you are selling about 30 properties per month. So the question is, how long would it take before you run out of inventory in Naperville? Assuming that you're selling 30 properties a month, and the answer is, so you have 90 properties for sale, and every month you're selling 30. So how long would it take before you run out of all 90 properties, assuming there are no new properties coming into the market? Okay, so the answer is 3 months. So it's going to take 3 months before you run out of inventory, assuming that you are selling 30 properties per month. So what does that mean? So 3 months of housing supply. What it means is that in a regular balanced market, okay, so we're going to have this graph, supply and demand, okay? So ideally, you find the equilibrium, the balance, where you have 10 properties and then you are selling 10 properties. But in this case, it's not the case, right? So we have 5 properties and we have 10 buyers for 10 properties. So to have a balanced market in real estate, you need to have at least 4 to 6 months of housing supply. Okay, so it's not going to be a seller's market, meaning that there's a shortage of inventory, nor a buyer's market, okay, where there is a surplus of inventory. None of them. So you have a balance. To have a balance, you need to have 4 to 6 months of inventory supply in a particular neighborhood, okay? But guess what? Today, if we look at this graph, the inventory supply for the blue line is single family homes and the red line is attached. So you're looking at less than 2 months of housing supply, okay? So this is what you need to keep in mind. Less than 2 months of housing supply for both. In fact, for single family homes is 1.8, 1.79 to be precise, and for attached condos, townhomes, it's a little bit less than 2, like 1.9. So it's going to take 2 months before you run out of all the inventory available. So that's what drives, or that's what makes this to be a seller market, okay? Prices are going up and continue to go up because of the lack of inventory, okay? So let me give you a tip. What's a great flipping market? A great flipping market is a market where the months of housing supply is less than 2. So technically, we are, or most of the neighborhoods now qualify for a top flipping market. So what we have some neighborhoods that never where they consider a great flipping market. Well, now we see a lot of flippers in those markets. Why? Because of the months of housing supply being less than two. What it means is that if you buy a house in that particular neighborhood, let me give an example. Markham is a really strong rental market, but now it's become also a great flipping market because of the shortage of inventory. So it's taking pretty much less than 2 months to run out of the entire inventory in Markham. Okay, so now what do you have there? You have flippers going into the market. They're buying properties, cash that are distressed, and they turn around and then put them back on the market. Okay, so you're seeing great flipping profits. Why? Because of the shortage of inventory, and that's all driven by the supply of what's called the housing months of housing supply. Okay, so you should always pay attention when you are pursuing a property. The first question should be, okay, is this a rental or a flip market? And the metric that you need to understand for every neighborhood is the months of housing supply. Is the months of housing supply less than two? Then it's a flipping market. And it could also be a great rental market where you have strong rents. Okay, but if the months of housing supply is greater than two, it's not the best flipping market. Okay, so there are some areas like, for instance, Country Club Hills, South Holland, that properties take a little bit longer to sell. So it's over 3 months. Okay, so they're not like a top flipping market. Why? Because some of these neighborhoods either have a rental moratorium or taxes are high, right? So when you have taxes being high, meaning over 77,000 per year, that's going to slow down, or I would say it's gonna defer back all the flippers. Okay, they're gonna sort of like not come into the market because when you have high property taxes, buyers are skeptical to get into those neighborhoods. An example is Flossmoor. Another one is Park Forest. Taxes are high, right? So there are not too many flippers. Why? Because the pool of buyers is not that great. Because they think about it, right? Taxes are very high in those neighborhoods. So taxes could be a deal breaker for a household if they're too high, because it's sort of like money down the drain. It's an outflow of cash. And for investors, kills the cash flow, the positive cash flow when you have high taxes. So again, this is just a quick overview for you to understand the months of housing supply. So again, right now, in Illinois, the months of housing supply is less than 2%. So that is why you're seeing flips left and right. Okay, so in fact, right now, we are in the next month or so, we're going to have 5 consecutive flips going on at the same time. Why? Because we're taking advantage of these months of housing supply. So right now, it's like an amazing time to do flips. Why? Because they're flying off the shelf. Now, to get great deals on the contract, then you have to be very competitive. When you make offers, whether it's off market or MLS, cash is king. So we're seeing that we're having to offer pretty much cash for most of these deals in exchange to get the property on the contract. But it's okay, right? Because if it's a great deal, money is not a problem. Right now, there's more money available than deals to be funded. Okay, so like last week, we got 5 properties on the contract, and they're going to be closing in the next. Today, we closed on 2. They were all cash offers. Next week, we're going to close on 3 more. Again, all cash offers, but we're getting a great deal, and we're getting the money for it. That's the power of being in a market where the inventory supply is so low. I mean, if you find a great deal, make a cash offer. Why? Because you're going to have plenty of people interested in being part of the deal. they'll bring the money to the table. In fact, today I had a meeting with an investor. He's part of the network. He's a multimillionaire, and he told me, Hugo, I'm ready to lend money. Just bring the deals. And in fact, he's lent money on many of our deals, and it's just extremely powerful, right? Because if you find a great deal, then money is readily available. So this is just a quick explanation on months of housing supply. It's one of the most important metrics that you have to understand that is going to drive your exit strategy on any market, okay? Now, average market time. Let's look at this graph. So the red one, again, it's for condos, townhomes, attached properties, and the blue one is for single family homes. So properties are flying off the shelf and they're not staying too long on the market, okay? And again, that's because of the shortage of inventory. They're selling very fast. For one, is because great deals are being sold cash. So that is why they stay on the market very little, right? Anything that makes sense that comes on the market, boom, it's taken away like within a day, okay? As soon as it hits the market. And this is one of the things that we're so proud of, that we implemented a system called the Amber Alert system. And this is just for MLS. Our focus is off market, right? But even for MLS, we are flagging just the top potential deals. When we have an Amber Alert, we're on it like the same day, right? We try to get it on the contract as soon as possible, talk to the listing agent, run the numbers, make cash offers. Once we get it on the contract, and if it's a great deal, guess what? Money is the easy part, okay? Because of the same reason. Shortage of inventory, too many people with a lot of money who want to get a piece of the pie. They want to get a nice return on their investment. They either lend the money or want to do a JV, equity partnership. So we're actively engaging in joint ventures with our capital partners. And it's been extremely, extremely powerful. And this is driven by these statistics that I'm showing you today. So again, average market time is the lowest ever in the last 10 years, as you can see these graphs. That is why doing flips right now, it's extremely, extremely attractive. And as you know, us, we're very, very heavy on rentals. But right now, based on these stats, trends for 2022, flippers are going to make a killing, okay? So we're focusing on getting great deals on the contract and then putting them back on the market after we add value to the property, right? So we have to rehab it, make it nice, and then boom, put it as soon as possible on the market. Are there any questions so far? On these stats?
Not at the moment.
Okay, team. And then we're going to do a quick recap so that you guys fully understand what's happening and what's about to happen in the next year or so. So before we get into the neighborhoods, something that I also want to share with you is that right now we are starting to see a slight increase in distressed properties recycling back into the market. But it's just a slight increase, because the forbearance program has ended. But Illinois is a judicial state. What it means is that all the pre-foreclosures that are pending are going now through the court system. It's taking a while because of the backlog, but we will start to see a big increase in distressed properties recycling back into the market starting early 2023. So it's not going to be in 2022. So there's going to be an surplus of inventory until next year for distressed properties. So right now, hundreds of thousands of properties are going through the court system in foreclosure proceedings, but they're going to come back into the market until next year. Okay, so right now it's the best time to work on your credit. Great get your reserves up, and then establish great partnerships, okay? Because again, we're in the people's business, and it's really hard for somebody to have all the pieces of the puzzle. You need time, experience, money, credit, and you need the deal. So it's really hard for somebody to have all the pieces. And that's what we're currently doing and actively doing right now. We are bringing in the missing pieces that you lack, right? So we want to either partner up with you, uh, either by bringing the deal, bringing the capital, or bringing the crew to do the work. And that we've proven that to be a very successful strategy, okay? Working with everyone and help you facilitate partnerships with other like-minded investors like yourself who bring the other pieces of the puzzle that you lack, okay? Um, so having said that, let's jump into the forecast, okay? For the neighborhoods that are upcoming. So Chicago real estate forecast, okay? So we finished 2021 at around 315,000 for the median sale price, okay, in the Chicagoland area, okay? And last year it was about 290. So you can see now that property prices continue to increase. As I said before, there was an increase of about 8% from last year. Okay, so things, I mean, property prices continue on the rise, and they will continue on the rise in 2022 because of the shortage of inventory. This is not going to stop until 2023 that we start to see an increase of inventory due to the distressed properties coming back into the market. So all the foreclosures will show until 2023, not anytime soon in 2022, okay? So again, you're gonna see strong property prices, strong ARVs. In fact, let me give an example. One of our members got a property on the contract last week, no, it was 2 weeks ago in Lansing. We have it on the contract for 136,000, and we just got the price out today, and as is value, $184,000. I just couldn't believe it, as is value. So right off the bat, we're starting with a $50,000 equity position as is value. So that's the power of getting great deals on the contract, right? So the minute you have a great deal on the contract, before you close, you already have the back-end equity position needed to do a back-end refinance, a cash-out refinance. So it's extremely powerful. So yeah, we're super excited. We're doing a lot of deals lately, and we want you to be part of it. So let's dive into. Go ahead, Tim. Go ahead, Tim.
Okay, so with this market the way it is, everything is going up. How can we as investors make a competitive offer when there's hundreds of other investors out there? And then on top of that, there's some investors that are willing to offer above the asking price. So how can we make a competitive offer?
Okay, great question. There are two ways to accomplish and beat the competition. And this is an insider secret, right? That we utilized that we've used in the last couple of months, right? We've gotten 3-4 properties on the contract from the MLS. We beat, the competition where they had over 15-20 offers. So obviously the offer needs to be cash. Earnest money needs to be extremely strong. I mean, I'm talking about if the purchase price is anywhere between, let's say, 100,000, we put earnest money of half of it, 50,000. But that's just a negotiating strategy, right? Because we can offer even, let's say the property asking price is 100,000. We can even say, well, I'm going to put 80,000 earnest money, right? So that's going to get the seller's attention, right? But guess what? We do an inspection the next day. And we know if we're going to move forward with the deal or we back out of the deal. So number one, it's got to be cash offer. Number two, earnest money has to be extremely strong. And most important, okay, most important, pay attention to this. this is like a ninja move that we make to get these properties on the contract. We do not submit offers, blind offers. Even if it could be a cash offer with a super strong earnest money, we never do that. The way we approach this is by reaching out to the listing agent, building rapport, understanding what their client is looking for, and giving up our side of the commission. So we try to encourage dual agency, so the listing agent gets both sides of the commission, right? We're willing to give that up in exchange for the deal, and that has worked amazingly well. Okay, and listing agents, I mean, if you think about it, real estate brokers are commission driven. That's how they make their living. So if you double their commission, wouldn't you think they're going to be very motivated to work with you? Absolutely. I mean, we've gotten so many deals just because of that. We're giving up maybe $2, $3, $4,000 on the commission, but in exchange, we're getting 20, 30, 40,000 in equity on these transactions, right? So again, to answer your question, Tim, two ninja moves: cash offer, strong earnest money, and then we negotiate the deal verbally. Once we have a deal verbally, we put it in writing just to solidify the deal. Okay. Now the question is, how do you compete with investors who are making over asking price offers, right? They don't understand the numbers. We cannot compete with them, right? If they're willing to pay 10, 15,000 over, God bless them, right? Because they're going to jeopardize their numbers. So we always have to stick to our numbers. We need to know the ARV. We need to understand the after repair value. That's what it means, ARV. And then the rehab, right? So it's critical so that we know the most we're able to pay for the property, meaning your max allowable offer on the property. You've got to stick to the numbers. This is like blackjack, right? So you know when to double down, when to hit, when to hold. It's all math. The same applies to real estate. You've got to stick to your numbers, always. If somebody's willing to pay 10, 15, 20,000 more, by all means, be my guest, right? But you cannot afford to jeopardize your numbers because you could be wiped out on the first deal. So we always stick to our numbers, but we make really strong offers. Cash, super strong earnest money. But most importantly, remember, guys, you're in the people's business. Real estate is just the mean to get there. So we build rapport with the listing agents. We give them our side of the commission, meaning we let them do dual agency. We let them represent us. And that has worked amazingly well. So this is how we can beat the competition. And we've done this time after time after time in the last 2-3 months. So did that answer your question, Tim?
Yes, it did. Thank you very much.
Okay, no problem. Okay, so let's get into the top neighborhoods, okay? And I'm gonna tell you why these neighborhoods are the neighborhoods that you really need to pay attention to. Number one, Rogers Park. So the median sales price for this neighborhood is $210,000. However, the rents are ranging from anywhere 12 to 1300 per month. So it's affordable housing. This is a super strong upcoming rental market. So put it in your list, Rogers Park, okay? So it's a great neighborhood, upcoming. So right now you can get into Rogers Park at a very reasonable purchase price, okay? But this is an upcoming market, okay? Next, Avondale, okay? Median sales price, it's anywhere between 400 to 500,000. And some of the properties could go extremely, extremely high. Okay. In fact, we are wholesaling a property in Avondale as we speak. If I'm not mistaken, it's 280,000, and the ARV is over 500,000. Okay. So Avondale, it's an upcoming market where you really need to pay attention. So right now we're seeing property prices increase in the double digits. So if the average in the Chicagoland area was about 8%, Avondale, or the neighborhoods that I'm presenting, has a 10% forecast price increase. So this is another neighborhood that you should pay attention to, Avondale. Next one in the list, Humboldt Park. Probably you've heard this one. I mean, this has been going up and continues to be a very solid market, Humboldt Park. Of course, it does have pockets. You've got to understand the pockets. But overall, let me give you the numbers. So median sales price is anywhere between 350 to 400,000. And the rents are super strong, okay? Over $2,000 in Humboldt Park, okay? So it's becoming a very desirable neighborhood, okay? So again, we're looking into these neighborhoods that I'm presenting you very closely because we're seeing great opportunities. As I mentioned earlier, we already got a property under contract in Avondale, and we're heavily focusing on these neighborhoods that I'm presenting to you today because of the 22-23 forecast in property values and especially rents. The rental market on these neighborhoods is becoming very, very strong. The next one is Edgewater, okay? So affordable prices, this is very close to the lake, okay? Similar to Rogers Park. Median sales price is about 245. And again, so rents are becoming very strong. This is a great upcoming market to pay attention to. Edgewater, still affordable, but it's experiencing a double-digit appreciation, property price increase from last year. So we're again paying close attention to Edgewater. Bronxville, I'm sure you've heard about these. So this is right now a really, really, really hot market, Bronxville. Okay, so we're seeing property prices even hitting 800, 900,000 for a single family home in Bronxville. So it's a super, super hot market. Obviously, right now the entry point in this area is expensive, but can you make your money on this neighborhood, especially for flips? Okay, this is an amazing flipping market, Bronxville. Um, so I just gave you some tips, and I want to quickly summarize everything we covered. But before we go into the summary, are there any questions so far?
I don't have one.
Okay, so go
Here we
ahead.
go.
Yes, go ahead, please.
But there is a question in a chat box. Someone asked that, do you provide a proof of funds for people making cash offers with no money on good deals?
Absolutely, and that's in fact that's what my meeting was about today with our new partner, who officially, right, is pledging a lot of money into our new group, the deal makers. So we're going to be able to provide proof of funds, right, to make cash offers. And then we obviously need to make sure the deal makes sense, but now it's available. And this just came into the picture today, right? So we struck that partnership, that agreement today. I have not even disclosed this to the deal makers because today it's been a super busy day. But yeah, that's something super exciting that I want to share with all of you, especially for those of you who are part of the deal makers. Um, so we have now this new partner who's pledging a lot of money into funding deals. Again, because what I said before, there's more money out there than deals to be funded. We got 5 properties on the contract last week, all of them cash offers. We were able to raise $510,000 last week just in cash offers from our capital partners. No problem. I mean, it was not a big deal because the deals made sense and because obviously we have credibility and reputation. So we are going to back you up if it's a great deal for sure. We're going to make sure that all the numbers make sense. We're going to make sure that we stick to our formulas so that we never overpay for the deal, right? So we don't want to compromise the return. We don't want to compromise our partner's investment. We want to make sure that we do our due diligence and make it a win-win for everyone. So absolutely, that's something that is coming down the pipe for all the deal makers. Um, so I know that many of you have probably have not heard of the deal makers. It's just a close group of investors that are shadowing what we do, right? So it's becoming extremely, extremely powerful. In fact, we're um, making them part officially and legally part of our flips, right? So we created new LLCs and we're putting a bunch of deal makers into these LLCs for everyone not only to have hands-on experience on these flips, but also to increase their track record. Because you need at least 3 to 5 properties under your belt so that in the eyes of the lenders, you look like a seasoned investor. Because if you're a newbie, they're going to ask you for a hefty down payment, up to 35% down. The terms are not very favorable. So when you have 3 up to 5 and more deals under your belt, you're going to qualify for the best terms. Pretty much uh, what we have today, right? But we're gonna make it happen for every single deal maker. So it's super exciting, right, to help you guys not only increase your track record, your hands-on experience, but also help you and partner up with you to bring in the missing piece that you're lacking. Whether you have money, time, experience, or credit, right? So many people are afraid, well, I want to start doing wholesales because I don't have capital, I don't have credit, and I don't have experience, nor do I have the deal. Well, worry no more. We're bringing the deals. That's our commitment. We're lining up the funding on your behalf, and on top of it, we're helping you facilitate partnerships with other deal makers who bring the missing pieces of the puzzle. Again, you need a capital partner or a guarantor on a Harmony loan. You need reserves to close on the property, and you need somebody who's going to manage the rehab to a successful completion. So we're facilitating all of it, right? So we're all working together on these deals. So it's been extremely, extremely powerful, right? Getting this hands-on experience for everyone as part of the deal maker. So as you notice, if you're a deal maker, we're sort of staying away from training. We're sort of staying away from technology. We want you to have hands-on experience, okay? So everything that is happening behind the scenes, we're sharing with you on a WhatsApp group, right? You're part of the transaction. We're sharing like today, right? We had a closing, I mean, 2 closings, and I sent via WhatsApp the HUD, the preliminary HUD, right? That's how the title company sent it to me this morning. I make a phone call to Fidelity, and then I said, can we please adjust the HUD? All these extra fees. So we were able to knock off a little bit over $650, right? So this is what you guys need to learn. Whether you're passive or active in the transaction, you really need to understand what to look for, right? Because when you're on your own or with other partners, you've got to understand, first of all, once you have the deal, whether the deal makes sense. And if it makes sense, what's going to be your exit strategy? How are you going to present the deal to get it funded? And once you get funding for the deal, what are the checklists before you close on the property? You've got to have the proper insurance. You've got to have the pre-sale inspection, depending on the city. You have to line up quotes for the scope of work. So when you close on the property, boom, you're going to start the rehab ASAP, pulling permits and so forth, right? Until completion, and then sell it if you're going to flip it, or rent it if you're going to keep it. So this is more the focus on that we're doing right now. And for instance, one of our deal makers, Diego, bought a property yesterday in Markham. So what we're going to do with that property is that we're inviting deal makers to be part of the transaction. So we're going to create a new LLC. We're going to do a quit claim deed from Diego's entity to the new entity and add a bunch of deal makers so that not only will they increase their track record, but they're going to get hands-on experience from the beginning of the transaction till the end. So it's becoming extremely powerful, hands-on, right? So as you see on our meetings, it's all about revising, analyzing deals, being part of the deal, presenting funding proposals. And these funding proposals could be for an equity partnership, or it could be for a private money loan. Okay, it could be for either one of those two. So this is what you guys get exposed to when you become part of the deal makers. So it's been exciting, guys. And aside from the deal makers, I just wanted you to make you aware of what's happening in the market. I want to do a quick recap of what we talked about. And then for those of you who are interested in the deal makers, we can set up a one-on-one with me so that I can fully understand where you are, where you want to be, what are your missing pieces, and how we can help you get there, right? I'm going to have you send an email to support if you want to set up a one-on-one meeting, because every person, so I'm going to put the email support at chicagodealvault.com. So we're going to set up a one-on-one meeting with you so that we fully understand where you are, where you want to be, and how we can perhaps help you, right? So again, that's going to be a one-on-one meeting with me, and let's do a quick recap on what we talked about.
Hi, Hugo.
Yes, Valerie.
Two or several questions before you start the recap.
Yes.
Both of them have to do, well, the neighborhoods that you have targeted as the hot neighborhoods, those 5 neighborhoods, are you talking about your focus being in those neighborhoods, acquiring properties off the MLS, or are you doing off-market prospecting to tie those properties up or to purchase those properties?
Both. MLS and off-market. Both, absolutely. Okay. We cannot afford to ignore MLS. I would say 40 to 50% of our inventory came from the MLS. So you cannot afford MLS, for sure.
And then I have another question. When you were talking about the foreclosure process, yes, you mentioned that right now the foreclosures are starting to go through the court system, and that correct, they won't really be coming back into the market until 2023. Are you talking about the properties coming back into the market in 2023 as REO properties?
Exactly, correct.
Properties. Are you saying,
properties.
Are you projecting that there's going to be a lot of REO properties coming back at 2023?
Absolutely. So let me give you a clear example. Right now, before pre-pandemic, we were seeing about 1,000 bank-owned properties per week, anywhere between 800 to 1,000. Right now, we're seeing 250 to 80 per week. Even during the pandemic, it was lower than that, like sometimes 100, 150. So we're seeing a slightly increase, but nowhere to where it needs to be. But, you know, I talked to our big REO partners, and they said, Hugo, you won't see anything in 2022. Things are going to kick in 2023. So the way to prepare for that is work on your FICO. You've got to have 720 and above to qualify for the best terms. Cash is going to be king, so stash your cash, right, for reserves. Very critical.
Yes, I understand that. But what about nailing these people, well, not nailing these people, but getting to these people pre-foreclosure? I mean, you've got pre-foreclosure list in Chicago Deal Vault. Are these people still prospectable because they haven't actually gone into foreclosure, and we can somehow make offers to them before they go through the foreclosure process and get into the court system?
Absolutely, absolutely. That's like the best lead. Probates and pre-foreclosures, especially upcoming pre-foreclosures, right? That they're going to the judicial auction in the next 30 to 90 days. They're going to be extremely motivated. So you need to look for 2 factors, motivation and equity in the property, which we know their equity position, because we know how much they owe on the mortgage, we know how far behind they are, and we know when the judicial auction is scheduled for. So having those pieces of data, we can target distressed high equity owners prior to them losing the property. So it could be a win-win. In fact, we just closed on one. It was exactly a month ago. It was, yeah, towards the beginning of February. Um, it was a pre-foreclosure upcoming. He was just about to lose the property, and then we were able to seize that opportunity thanks to David Myers. And then did a partnership with Sixto, Lisa, John, and we're going to put that in the market in a week and a half. So it's going to be a flip. But yeah, that's a great lead type, upcoming pre-foreclosures. And we're going to see that. Go ahead.
So if we're focusing on your list and we're looking at your list in Chicago Deal Vault, and I want to start sending out some campaigns to these pre-foreclosure persons, what is my reach back? In other words, who is a valuable prospect? Somebody that has hit your list last December or last June or this January? What's the reach back so that I'm hitting them at the right time before it's too late, or I don't want to hit them too early because they're not motivated? What's that window of opportunity on the calendar?
Great question. So we have two lead pipes. When they enter the pre-foreclosure, you've got to wait at least 6 months to 9 months. So if they're in pre-foreclosure, don't reach out to them as soon as, let's say, if they have a filing happening, let's say this month. Wait, I would say at least 6 months, because they're going to be in denial for the first 6 months to 9 months. And the pre-foreclosure, keep in mind, lasts about 2 years in Illinois, because through the bureaucracy and court system, up to 2 years. So wait 6 to 9 months before you do the first contact, and then continue, doing consistent mailers over to them, at least one mailer per month for the next 6 to 9 months consecutively, right? Because then they're going to be reaching a point where they're going to end up losing their property in the next probably year. So if they file for pre-foreclosure today, in a year and a half, they're going to be losing their property. So they're going to become from a cold lead, they're going to turn into medium or warm to hot lead by spring 2023. Does that make sense? So start hitting those prospects, not now, by the end of the summer, right? So 6 months have passed. Hit them by the end of the summer. So July, August, September, October, November, December, February, March, April, for 8 to 9 months consecutively, so that by next summer, they're going to need to take action, else they're going to lose their property. So by then, those leads are going to move into the upcoming auction lead pipe. So that means that in the next 30 to 90 days, they're going to lose their home unless they take action. So by next summer of 2023, early fall, the judicial auction is going to be official. So by then, you already have them in your lead pipe of follow-up, and you can seize a great deal, right, with equity. But the key is consistency in your mailers. But wait about 6 months from the time they enter the foreclosure process.
All that's great, but all that's great information. Thank you very much, but you're projecting forward. If I want to hit somebody right now that's in trouble right now, I have to go back in time and look at when they first entered the process.
Exactly.
That's the date that I'm looking for, because I want the people that are not, it's not too late for them, but it's not too early for them. So are you suggesting to go back 6 to 9 months now?
Correct, exactly. Go 6 to 9 months from today. So go backwards 6 to 9 months. So go back to maybe early summer 2021 and start prospecting those leads. Because right now they were cold last year, but now they're going to turn into warm lead. By the end of the year, they could become a hot lead.
Yeah. All right. Thank you. I appreciate that, especially the specifics on the time frame. It doesn't make sense to market to these people at the wrong time. It's wasted marketing money.
Absolutely. Hit them after 6 months, but do it consistently for the next 8 to 9 months. And that's one of the problem that investors have. They quit doing consistent mailers after 2, 3 months. You've got to consistently hit them. That's the key.
I appreciate you taking time out to address my questions. Thank you very much.
My pleasure, Valerie. Anybody else? Okay, so let me see. There's a question. So let's do a quick recap, right? I'm just going to take you through the same slides, but give you a quick recap of what we talked about. Oh, in fact, we don't need to look at the slides. We know what we talked about today, so I will quickly just explain. Home sales have been through the roof. Why? Because of the shortage of inventory. We have a great pool of buyers because low interest rates, okay? They've gone up less than a point since last year, but still they're way too low. So the buyer pool is still really, really big, okay? And the shortage of inventory is making property prices to continue to go up. So they've gone up 8% since last year. And in 2022 to 2023, they're going to continue to go up for at least 8 to 10%. Some neighborhoods are going to have a double-digit increase in property appreciation. And that's, again, because of the shortage of inventory. So property prices will not go down. They'll continue to go up because the months of housing supply in the Chicagoland area is less than 2 months. Now, what's the months of housing supply? If I tell you, let's say Mount Prospect has a 2 months of housing supply. What it means is that in 2 months, all the inventory that is active for sale will be gone. We're going to run out of properties to buy in 2 months. That makes it a great, amazing flipping market because you want to buy it, and as soon as you put it on the market, boom, it's sold. So that's what's happening right now. That is why you have so many flippers. In fact, as I mentioned before, we're going to be engaging in 5 simultaneous flips in the next few weeks because of the low months of housing supply, okay, that we're seeing. So the challenge obviously comes in getting to these awesome deals. That's all you need, right? That's the biggest piece of the puzzle, and that's our commitment, right? We are committed to bringing great deals to you guys, primarily off-market MLS. That makes sense. And as I told earlier, our strategy is to make a very strong offer with strong earnest money, deposit anywhere between 25 to 50,000, cash offer. We build rapport with the listing agent. We allow them to do dual agency. We build great rapport. We negotiate the deal verbally before we send an offer, a blind offer. That's critical. Although sometimes they want us to send the written offer to get the negotiation started. We'll do that, but we obviously like to do it verbally, get a deal agreed upon verbally so that we just formalize it in writing by sending the offer. And what you need to focus on for this year is to get your FICO over 680. If you have it over 720, you qualify for the best terms. Stash up cash. Cash is going to be king for the reserves. Again, for purchasing a property, you're going to be required to put down anywhere between 10 all the way to 35% down, depending on your experience. If you have no deals, you need to put 25 to 35% down, which can wipe you out, right, in the first deal, or you won't be able to do the first deal. That is why for the deal makers, we're actively increasing their track record by making them participant in all the flips, all the transactions that we as a group are doing. So everyone gets a piece of the pie, everyone increase their track record simultaneously. Our job and goal is to have at least 3 to 5 deals under your belt by the end of the summer. So it's a very doable yet aggressive goal that we are focusing on. Some of the key neighborhoods in the city of Chicago are Edgewater, Rogers Park, Avondale, Humboldt Park, to be some of the areas that we're focusing on because we're seeing great appreciation, property prices, and also strong rentals in those neighborhoods, okay, for the city. So again, if you want to be, part of a great group that we're actively doing deals, just send us an email, schedule a one-on-one with me, and then we'll understand where you are, where you want to be, and how we can help you, right? Fill in the missing pieces. Again, to be a successful real estate investor, you need three things. You need a deal, you obviously need the capital, and you need partnerships. That's over 50% of the puzzle. Have partnerships. We have many deals going on actively right now, not individually, but with other partners. That's the name of the game moving forward. If you want to minimize your risk, maximize your return, and do more deals, you've got to have partners. You've got to have partners. Even if you think you have all the pieces of the puzzle, you need to minimize your risk, right? Even if we have all the pieces of the puzzle, we rather make, as I said before, 25% of something than 100% of nothing. So we rather take a lesser profit split in exchange for more deals, more partnerships, okay? And that's what we are actively doing and helping you do when you join our network. So are there any other questions on the line?
Yeah, I just had a question. Do you have to be licensed when you doing these deals? Do you actually have to have a license or just say if the person, just say for instance, if you had a partner, uh, would he have to have a license and you don't, and you guys make a deal, or do you actually have to have a license in in order to participate in these type of deals?
You don't have to have a real estate license to do deals. That's what it boils down to. So you can engage in rentals, in flips, and don't need a license. Now, if you want to do wholesales yourself, you can do one every 12 months. And after that, you need to have a real estate license because it's a licensed activity. But, we have a brokerage. I'm a managing broker. We have 5 brokers. So we can help you do wholesales using our brokerage. Okay, so even if you are not a licensee, we can help you wholesale the properties. So our brokerage goes on title or on the contract on your behalf or alongside your name, so that we as licensee, as a brokerage, can do legal wholesales because it's a licensed activity. So we can help you even wholesale. And by the way, that's a really strong arm that we have right now. So in the last 3.5 months, our main partner, Russell Walker, who works for our brokerage, we've done, so it was 80,000 plus 27 plus 10, 80. So close to 115,000 in the last 3.5 months, just in wholesales. I mean, it's just been amazing. Why? Because of the shortage of inventory. So it's just been amazing. So like tonight, I'm gonna wire him. I got the text just on deals we've done. Tonight, I'm gonna send over. So that's 27 plus 10, 37,000 plus 80 that we've done. So that's 117,000 in the last 3.5 months. That's just to give you an idea how heavily we're involved in wholesaling. We breed wholesaling. Why? Because the shortage of inventory. So we're so focused on getting great deals off market on the contract that we're able to sell them in one showing if the numbers make sense, right?
Right.
So we're really heavy on that because let me tell you, if the numbers make sense, even if it's in a neighborhood that you don't care for, guess what? There's going to be somebody who's going to take that property. So why leave money on the table? So we'll help you and facilitate the wholesale on your behalf. So we do partnerships on wholesales. So we split 50-50, right? The assignment fee. So
Okay.
we do the position, meaning we find the end buyer or the cash buyer or investor through our investor network. So we have a really large, between Russell and myself, network of cash buyers and investors, right? So if the deal makes sense, we're able to move the deals very fast. But again, those deals are brought to our deal makers
Mhm.
first, so they have a first-hand look at them. Okay, and then if they don't take them, boom, we do a blast to the network, to the masses. So yeah, schedule a one-on-one with me, and then we can go over more details, and I can fully understand what where you're trying to get and how we can
Okay.
fill in the missing pieces. So send an email to support, and we'll do a one-on-one. We can do it in person or via Zoom, whatever works.
All right. Sounds good. Thank you. I
Uh,
appreciate that.
no problem. Are there any other questions? And if you're a licensee that you're thinking about switching over to a new brokerage, keep us in mind, okay? So we are hiring investor-friendly brokers, okay? Um, are there any other questions on what you need to do now, what you need to focus on today? Pay attention to the neighborhoods that I mentioned. You've got to belong to a network, okay, of investors, like-minded, because again, we're in the people's business. We've gotten in the last 3.5 months so many properties off market. So we got a list of 84 properties, right? That we have picked 18 of them right now. Then previously we got 21 properties from South Holland. And then we've been getting batches of about 10 to 15 in the last 3 months from another partner that we do buy and bus tours. So it's been amazing, right? But it's all about relationships, okay? That's where the power of this business comes from, relationships. And that's what our focus is, making sure that you partner and you do JVs with people that are bringing what you're lacking and vice versa. So you synergize, you join forces, and boom, you make deals happen. That is why we're called deal makers. Okay, so the second thing is having a deal and capital. Having a deal, that's our job right now, to bring you guys great deals. And with capital, we help you line up funding. And now that we have a new partner that is willing to fund deals, I mean, that just brings this to the next level, right? So we're super excited. I mean, for those of you who are deal makers, now you're hearing this for the first time because we struck the deal today. Okay, again, we're gonna need to vet the deal, make sure the numbers make sense, but if we vet the deal, boom, it's a go. So schedule a one-on-one with me, stash up cash for your reserves, have a FICO over 680, and do JVs. Are there any other questions on the line that I can help you answer?
Hey, Hugo, what do you think that this all this wartime stuff is going to do to the investing market?
Great question. Okay, great question. So uh, right now we've seen inflation in the last year. It's almost hitting the double digit. Okay, just in the United States overall. So from food to commodities, they've increased about 10%. So now with the war, I mean, there's going to be a lot of instability um, in Europe overall. Okay, especially all these Russian billionaires they're ceasing their investments, and they cannot even move their money now to the United States, right? So because that'll be like one of the heaven places to invest in real estate in the United States, but that's not going to be able to happen. So right now, that's not going to affect us in the real estate arena anytime soon, right? The conflict with Russia and Ukraine is not going to affect us directly as far as the real estate is concerned, with property prices, inventory supply, and rental market. So that's not going to affect right now. Um, so yeah, so stay put. Just focus on what I mentioned earlier, and you should be in good shape. But yeah, no, great question. As of right now, it's not going to have an impact. Um, because real estate wise, we're not tightly coupled to Russia. That's simple. That's the big benefit. Whereas, for instance, oil and gas companies tightly coupled to Russia, right? Like BP, Amoco, and Shell, they have taken over $20 billion loss. So that will have a direct impact in the US. We're seeing that. Have you checked the price of gas for a gallon right now? It's over $4. Ever since the wars or the conflict started, gas prices have gone through the roof over, I mean, $4 per gallon overnight, right? And that's because Russia exports oil and natural gas to the US and many other European countries. That supply is cut off, gas prices go up. And if gas prices go up, everything goes up, right? There's an inflation that is happening. But as far as real estate is concerned, there's always going to be a demand for real estate, right? Because population keeps growing. And with the shortage of inventory, prices continue to be strong, even going up. Strong, super strong rental market, right? People still need a place to live. So conflict in Russia and Ukraine has not directly affected real estate market. Other sectors and industries have been heavily affected, like the oil and gas industry, for sure. We see that. Go fill up your gas tank right now, you're going to pay 10, 15% more than what you paid like 2 weeks ago. Does that make sense?
Yes, thank you.
Okay. Are there any other questions? So if no other questions, I can't wait to have a one-on-one meeting with you. I'm looking forward to understanding where you are. And most importantly, my objective is for you to not get stuck. I don't want to see you spin your wheels and be where you are today, 1, 2 years down the road. That'll be very painful, right? So I want to make sure that you really take your real estate investment efforts to the next level. For that to happen, you need support, you need a network, um, and you need partners to be able to make that happen. So again, I can't wait to have a one-on-one with you to help you become successful in real estate because we started about 3.5 years ago having no rentals, no properties. We own close to 40 rentals right now. So it's been exciting, very exciting ride, and I can wait to make you part of it and mimic our success. So thank you everyone for joining tonight. I look forward to seeing you, meeting you one-on-one, and seeing you on our next webinar or live event. So thank you everyone for joining, and if you have any questions, please feel free to reach out to us.